In our family, we thought about what can we do? What can we adapt and make it doable for us with CF? We didn't talk a lot about like, well, you can't do that because like we didn't talk about that.
Don't you think we're better together? Oh, I think we are.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys, and happy Monday.
It is Real-Time Monday vlog, and we really enjoyed doing this last week.
Yeah, by real time, we are filming this right before we're about to post it, and we are going to do a little Q&A with you guys. Mary asked some questions over on Instagram. If you want to follow her on Instagram, her Instagram's at Frey Living, and
his is at Peter Frey Life.
But she's like got a little, it's like her little mini blog that she does over there on Instagram. She does a post pretty much every day, and I don't know, I always enjoy her posts. So let's get into the questions.
You're sweet. All right, where did the nickname Bonesy for Oliver come from? When you guys say it, I always wonder.
It's a great question. Sometimes I myself wonder.
We have so many nicknames that we call him, but Bonesy is definitely the most common that we call him.
When I was in elementary school, I was in like music class, and we learned this song, and it went like, lazy bones, you're moving in slow motion. And so when Ollie was a puppy, he would sleep a lot, and we'd be, sleepy bones, you're moving in slow motion. And that got shortened to Bones, pretty much, right?
Yeah, it basically went to Bones.
And then Bonesy.
But I wonder when it turned from Bones to Bonesy.
We pretty much put a Y on the end of everything.
But another nickname which came up this morning, Peter was like, he's our Geroodle. We call him our Geroodle because he's a poodle, and he's got a really long neck, so it's a giraffe poodle, Geroodle.
And it's especially, when we have him clipped real short, it's especially like prominent. He does this thing where he lays his head down on the chair, and you just see this long neck, and so he's a Geroodle.
Hi there, I've watched a few of your vlogs, and I've heard you talk about your low blood sugars. I'm type 1 diabetic, and I was wondering if you are too, or if it's just part of CF. So, yeah, it's a part of CF.
So she's not type 1 diabetic. Yes, it is a part of CF.
Thanks for clarifying.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so it's different cystic fibrosis related diabetes or
blood sugar issues in general.
It's different than type 1, and it's different than type 2. It's its own unique little unicorn.
Unicorn?
I don't know where the unicorn came from, but
yeah. Basically, Mary's pancreas, part of cystic fibrosis is that one of the organs affected is the pancreas, and it affects every patient differently. So Mary has hypoglycemia, she gets these low blood sugars.
Very rarely do my blood sugars go high. I have some reactive hypoglycemia. My pancreas is like, she ate! I should give her tons of insulin! And then I crash. Sometimes it's more controlled than other times. Sometimes my feeding tube stops me from going low. Other times it does absolutely nothing. And
when we met with our endocrinologist, basically she explained that there's so many factors going on in Mary's CF body that cause her blood sugar issues. So it is a beast of its own. I guess it is a unicorn.
My question is, what is your favorite animal and why? I didn't think about this beforehand, so this could be tricky.
I'll tell mine.
Okay.
I've always loved zebras, and you probably didn't know that because that wouldn't be like, if I went to the zoo or something, that wouldn't be what I'd want to see first or anything. But as a child, I was mesmerized by zebra stripes.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I just learned something new about you.
There you go.
I mean, I have to say chimpanzees, I think they're hilarious and awesome and articulate, and I love them.
But I will say that Mary and I both love whales.
Oh.
Like, Mary follows somebody on Instagram that does like drone footage of whales, and it is just incredible.
It brings me to tears.
Yeah, they're so big. All right, next question.
With CF being progressive, how much or little did it limit you as a child? That is a really good question that the answer, of course, I'm answering for my own CF life. It would be different for everybody. So my CF, how do I say this? I mean, I of course had CF. I had to do my vest and my mists and take my enzymes and take my pills from my liver and all of that. So I had to do all of that ever since I was very little. But it wasn't until I was about 10 or 11 that my lungs started showing more need for intervention. So I was 11 when I had my first IV antibiotics and my first like admission, besides when I was really tiny baby, but in between, you know, toddlerhood and childhood. But I will say another way that it affected me, sometimes I didn't realize. So I remember being at soccer practice. I was on a soccer team and my dad would pull me out of practice sometimes because around my mouth would go like whitish, bluish, like basically indicating I wasn't breathing great. And it's funny because Peter will notice it sometimes now. He'll be like, Mary, you're like around your lips is going weird colors. I'd be like, oh yeah, I don't feel like I'm breathing too well. Well, that's how it was when I was little, except I didn't know. You know, my dad would say, hey Mary, come sit down for a minute and just take a minute. And I had no clue why. Oh, okay, whatever. But it was just like little things like that. That would be a really good question for my parents.
Can you think of any moments that you consciously thought, I can't do this because I have CF?
One thing that comes to mind is I did gymnastics, which in my dream last night I was at my gymnastics gym growing up. I did gymnastics, I did soccer, I did a bunch of stuff like that. And when I was 10, I was in a research study and I was diagnosed with liver disease through blood work. And then they found out that I had portal hypertension and my spleen was enlarged and all of that ensued. And what followed was our doctor recommending that during contact sports, like soccer, when the ball could potentially fly and hit my abdomen, or when I'm on the uneven bars for gymnastics, that I wear with what the doctor called a spleen guard. So it it was just basically like an extra padding to maybe help if some impact happened. And I remember really not liking that at 10 years old. And it impacted like just how I felt about being a part of the sport. I was less interested. I was like, well, if I have to wear that, I don't want to do it. I don't know, I'm guessing it just made me feel different. And it was embarrassing and I really didn't like it. But it's one of those things where it's like, what's that balance between trying to protect yourself and doing what's necessary, and you can't live in a bubble and all of that, of course.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, from my like hearing stories of Mary's childhood, I don't think it really limited you like a whole lot. You did the sports that you wanted to do. And did you ever feel like, I'm like expanding our Q&A here.
Awesome.
I guess I'm thinking maybe even as you got older, were there any moments that CF limited you socially?
I know like the day that I got my port, or the next day maybe, there were high school events going on. And I remember I was able to show up, but I couldn't like stay and participate because I was recovering from the surgery. And like there were those sorts of things, but I was grateful to have friends who would come hang out. I remember when I was younger, one of my first pick lines, I was at home and, you know, my friend came over and played with me, and I don't know, I guess we kind of just went with the flow. And I think because I had a sister with cystic fibrosis as well, I didn't feel as much, like it didn't feel as different because there were two of us.
Yeah.
So it felt like this is obviously how this is normal
in your house.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, which it totally wasn't normal, but to us it felt normal.
That's a good point. I wonder if families where there's a sibling with CF and a sibling without CF, if there's more of a feeling limited or...
Right.
But...
Yeah, yeah, and I guess we just viewed it as like what... I feel like in our family we thought about what can we do? What can we adapt and make it doable for us with CF? We didn't talk a lot about like, well, you can't do that because like we didn't talk about that.
Yeah, I think that's a good perspective to have. All right, next question.
What type of watercolor and paper do I use for my paintings? So this isn't the exact one, but I believe it's the Arches brand, but it's the green. I didn't see any up there. That's the paper that I like, but honestly, when I started painting, it was when I was in the hospital and the child life specialist brought in a little Crayola watercolor palette, and I used that for some of my early paintings, and it was fine.
One of Mary's most sold watercolor prints is her Bluebird, which was painted with those Crayola watercolor paints.
Yeah, on whatever paper they brought me when I was in the hospital. And the paints that I use are...
insert picture here.
Okay. What is the best holiday or vacation that you've been on, that you've both been on?
What would you say?
I don't know.
I loved our honeymoon.
Oh, yes.
We had a simple honeymoon. We went to Boca Raton, Florida, and relaxed by the beach and the pool for a week, and
it was awesome.
I don't know. That was
I want to go back there.
Yeah, we really should.
What is your favorite dessert? Pudding? Not really.
When we lived in Scotland, we did really like trifle.
Oh,
that
yeah.
was so good.
And trifle is like sponge cake, strawberry jello, whipped cream, all layered.
Pudding-ish. Yeah.
Yeah, pudding-ish, like mousse-ish.
Yeah, that was good.
But we're pretty go with the flow. If somebody's serving us cake, awesome. If somebody's serving us pudding, awesome.
Yeah. Dessert is good in general.
Sunrise or sunset?
Sunset. Who wants to get up that early?
Which treatment that you have to do is your least favorite? I think, do you know what I'm gonna say?
I don't.
I think when I'm on like Colistin nebulized,
Oh yeah.
it's sticky, it's time consuming, it's irritable, like it irritates. Yeah. I think that's probably my least favorite. What is your biggest advice for someone who's going through a rough patch or dealing with a setback?
Good question.
Keep going. I say to my friends quite often, one day, 1 hour, 1 minute at a time. Whatever helps you, if it's 1 day at a time, or if you're having a really bad day and it's 1 hour at a time or 1 minute at a time, you keep doing the next thing. You just, I mean, and maybe doing the next thing means sitting in bed and vegging out, or in some ways I'm kind of in that at this moment, like we're trying to figure out some next steps for treating my body right now, and I think that that's kind of where I'm at. I kind of in a way feel like it's a setback because I can't do anything to quicken the process or figure it out. So all I can do is take it 1 day, 1 hour at a time, do what I can do for my body, research what I need to research, communicate what I need to communicate with my team, and just keep doing it. And I think that's where we'll end this. So
thanks for watching, guys, and as always, we will see you tomorrow.
Good night. Oh my goodness, look at him.
We'll end with the Bonesy boy. You are so cute. Good night, Ollie boy. We love you.